Did Chris Jericho say he likes and saw Jon Moxley's mom? AEW Revolution prediction, the main event. If you don't consider Cody versus MJF the main event, the match for the World Heavyweight title of All Elite Wrestling. I don't see Chris Jericho leaving the pay-per-view with the title. I've discussed how he doesn't really have a lot of competitors, and there's a whole situation now. The Kenny Omega situation. Kenny Omega is wrestling the Lucha Bros. He has this thing with Adam Page, has this thing with Pac. If he loses the world titles with Page, or if he doesn't lose the world title with Page, you still have a storyline with Adam Page, either feuding with him or tagging with him. So he's pretty much just not available. Not to mention that the tag team title stuff is just so interesting with those two around. So basically, Jon Moxley has to win because Kenny Omega will not be the next person to face Chris Jericho at a pay-per-view. And that's my thoughts on why Chris Jericho will lose the title at AEW Revolution. What are your thoughts? Like and subscribe. Also, Riho, the inaugural champ, lost last week against Nyla Rose. SCU lost their inaugural tag team as the inaugural AEW tag team champs. So Jericho's the only one left. 3 months is a pretty long time, etc. What are your thoughts? Like and subscribe. I guess Jon Moxley will soon be the youngest AEW champ of all time. All time. What are your thoughts? Like and subscribe. AEW Revolution 2020 will now have a triple main event. It will have MJF versus Cody. It will have Jon Moxley versus the Inner Circles, the Painmakers Posse's Chris Jericho. I forgot to mention Judas and his band too, Fozzy. It will also have a third main event, Pac versus Orange Cassidy. AEW Revolution. I'm going to preview at least the easier episodes, the easier matches to review, such as Jake Hager versus Dustin Rhodes. That goes all the way back to episode 1 of Dynamite, where the Inner Circle and the Elite faced. Moxley isn't part of the Elite, yet is facing off against Jericho, but they're still Elite and Elite Wrestling feuding. Inner Circle feuding. Dustin came out after to help out the Elite after. I don't know. They consider QT Marshall part of the Nightmare Family, but I don't know. I guess Dustin Rhodes is too. Not sure about the Elite. Because Cody has both. So Dustin, after that Cody 5-star match. I guess, yeah, Dustin made a 5-star match despite his age. Pretty good. Bloody match, highly praised. Same day as the Young Bucks Lucha Bros match. They faced each other. Then Dustin came out after they respected each other after the match. To help out Cody after the beatdown by the Inner Circle. Jake Hager then made his debut on the first episode of AEW Dynamite. Cody then challenged Chris Jericho being the number one contender, partially because he's the owner, but the storyline too, because like he wanted to show that he was desirable, etc. The slogan. Well, look at the match show though. Why don't they do the Elite as a database? I know they have synopsis for every week.
didn't have a match that week. Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes showed up. Next week, Darby Allin would show up, and then the Elite would have momentum. The Young Bucks didn't have a lot of wins throughout most of the match, throughout most of 2019, and then they had this momentum after January 2020. That's even right. Make an article just based on all the synopses. Before the pay-per-view, Hager would injure Dustin Rhodes' arm, damaging it in the car, right during the contract signing. And then Cody Rhodes would talk about how he wasn't the entitled one. It was Chris Jericho and his dad, which also on Thanksgiving. And then with the silver spoon, and then he gets screwed by MJF, which we'll talk about later. They would feud with interference in the first week of 2020, where Dustin Rhodes, when Hager interferes in Guevara's match against Dustin Rhodes, giving Guevara a winning record to start off 2020. Dustin would then win against Guevara later, and then challenge Hager, calling him B-word for not challenging anyone. Would then Hager hasn't wrestled as a result of his MMA contract. I still think Jeff Cobb could show up and replace Hager as a bounty hunter, and then we see a match between those two. If Hager does debut, I don't think he's going to lose his first match, since he was a former world champ, while Dustin Rhodes was like a wrestler from the 70s and 80s. I don't know, he's had hype. Sam Raimi's thought that he would win in the latest result. We shall see. What are your thoughts? Onto other predictions. Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander debuted. Let me see your match database. Yeah, she has a gimmick of an alien, which isn't that well accepted, but like, I feel like her wrestling style. She probably had a bunch of matches on the indie scene, which we'll probably see like showing up. She still wrestle on the indies with being AEW. She won the number one contendership against Britt Baker, 9 minutes 34 seconds, December 18th, 2019. She would face Rio January 8th, 2020, making her the number one contender. She and Hikaru Shida defeated the Nightmare Collective of Brandy Rhodes and Mel after Animation Con could not show up. Beats Diamante on AEW Dark 20. AEW Dynamite 20. She faced Shana. She never really goes for a number one contendership, but like, she's been facing Kong on and off ever since the debut. People were thinking like Statlander might win because like she had all that momentum for the writing, but then again so did Baker, and then she ended up being a heel. She beat Baker AEW Dynamite number 12. Beat Rhea Priestley AEW Dark number 11. Beat Hikaru Shida AEW Dynamite number 10. Which is quite a surprise considering that I thought Shida. I don't think Shida lost a single match prior to that. Shida and Statlander will lose to Rhea Priestley and Emi Sakura Dynamite number 9, which is pretty surprising considering Shida rarely loses. Like this was promoted Sakura's match against Riho. Rhea Priestley is also rarely losing matches. Britt Baker and Riho will beat Swole and Statlander. AEW Dark episode 7. Brian Cage would beat Chris Statlander. Bar Wrestling number 46. In any case, I swore she faced Amazing Awesome. No, I'm sorry. Nyla Rose a lot more often than that. But probably she hasn't. the two of the biggest brawling. It would be hard hitting with the Samoa Joe running stomps and all the Nyla Rose power bombs and stuff. Give her the find. I don't think Nyla Rose is going to lose this early. Let me see Nyla Rose's database. She's lost a lot of matches. Probably could preserve Riho and etc.'s stuff. She has a background in judo and taekwondo. I don't recall she really kicking or whatever. She doesn't have anything on the database for Cajun match. She can power bomb like Kevin Nash, had the fine thing. Let's see what it says on AEW. I think she's part Native American. She debuted against Britt in Double Nothing, facing Britt Baker, Kylie Ray, and later Awesome Kong. Baker pit Ray in the first match. Firefest, she faced Riho and Yuka Sakazaki, where Riho would win, and I thought that was for the title, probably not. She won the Casino Battle Royale at All Out to become AEW World Championship number one contender. Riho defeated Rose on the debuting episode of Dynamite. Attacked Riho at the match. Can't find her history. She had another ring name called Debbie Kong. Either way, I don't see Nyla Rose. Her win-loss record isn't that much better than... She does a lot of beatdowns on her set of wins, but like, otherwise I don't really see her losing against Chris Statlander in the first match. It would be like her first defense. Maybe they really think the ratings have been really bad, but I don't know. I haven't seen the quarter breakdowns. Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara debuted in one of the pre-shows against, I believe, Chris Sabian before he had the super bad gimmick. When he does vlogs with his camera, the Spanish God. They tease him being basically the male wife of Chris Jericho. There's been a lot less of that in 2020. In 2019, he had no wins. 2020, he debuted, as I said, with the win over Dustin Rhodes. He has phenomenal matches. The Code Red or Destroyer movie is very good from Dustin Rhodes. He's since lost some matches, probably breaking even. Could really use a win. However, Darby Allin just has all these video packages and skateboard. He's been beat down by a skateboard by Sammy Guevara in a post-match thing. He also might get involved in the Jake Hager match. They might tease them together and then have Cobb interfere and then have those two wrestle and beat down Darby Allin. I still see Darby Allin winning. Darby Allin was the first guy to face Jericho for the title in Dynamite. There's a Cody Rhodes at Fyter Fest time limit draw. Forgot about that. Fight for Fun team with Jimmy Havoc and Joey Janela. It's a hardcore team against MJF, Shawn Spears, and Sammy Guevara. Pretty interesting that MJF tagged with Sammy Guevara. Albeit they never end up being in the Inner Circle together. Sammy Guevara debuted facing Cody Rhodes on Dynamite. The first match ever, which really hyped him up. Didn't really win a match out of that. In All Out, Allin faced Havoc and Janela in a three-man match for Havoc won after the three teamed up. Allin would lose to the interference by Jake Hager. He would also accept John Moxley's open challenge, but get defeated by him. I think it was put in like a in a garbage bag at one point. He also faced Moxley in a rematch for number one contendership for Girls title. He's been the number one contendership a lot of the time. There's only timing before we finally see him face off against him. So his one of the last very good too. Him, Chris Jericho, and John Moxley probably have the best win-loss records of all AEW. It's the only time when he finally faces them. That's another idea for a three-way match. Shall see. What are your thoughts? Like and subscribe. I'll talk about the other matches later. SCU versus Dark Order is the pre-show. They're teasing who's going to be the Exalted One. Which I'll see. The ramps look very good, very glassy, very Gucci, very technology advanced. What are your thoughts? Like and subscribe. AEW Revolution 2020 will now have a triple main event. It will have MJF versus Cody. It will have John Moxley versus the Inner Circles, the Painmakers Posse's Chris Jericho. I forgot to mention Judas and his band too, Fozzy. It will also have a third main event, Pac versus Orange Cassidy. Cassidy versus Pac, very good. Let me see. So much to cover. Being accompanied to the ring by the best friends. He doesn't even say their names. He calls them the best friends. From whatever, wearing whatever. This is the announcers commentate. The commentators are commentating. This is a great story. He rolls on the ring. Just the entrance that felt like better than the Cody match. I was like, fire Cody now. And then the he will try chant start right away. Holy shit, chant start right away. He will try. Holy shit. And Bucks versus Paige and Omega. I wasn't really invested in this because the beginning of it was all on the Beyond the Elite website. But like, it's since really grown on me. The fact that they had Paige and Omega, two of the most over guys in the Elite, the second champs, beat SCU for the titles. The Young Bucks are great, talented. Paige and Omega have already defended against Lucha Bro, so they don't really need to defend against anyone else. That being said, the Bucks being heels because they're cocky. This whole Wikipedia article about Booker T saying they were cocky and arrogant when they're in TNA. They got this push against the machine guns in TNA. Both of them look good because like the most of the machine guns were jogging against like Nash and like Bubba Ray. The Bucks got really good in ROH. Beat El Generico, Steen Jericho. Of course, their junior heavyweight title matches in New Japan. They formed the Elite. Sold a lot of GX stuff. Bullet Club theme stuff. And Bridges theme, please. I did the whole thing on Adam Page's career. They talked about him being a jobber in ROH. Kenny Omega, 6-star champion. Helped preserve the Bullet Club. He was supposed to be like a junior heavyweight guy with AJ Styles there, but then survived the Bullet Club. Helped Bullet Club survive with 6-star match and feud with Kazuchika Okada. And Bullet Club was really bad that one year when he left because like they didn't have a really direction with Jay White. Now they have Jay White and Kenta as the leaders. Now that Kenta joined, which is really good. What are your thoughts? Subscribe. Oh my god, 7-star match. That was exhausting. There was like a fall away Spanish fly, a counter from a crossface chicken wing into a 540, 2 buckshot lariats. This is not in order, by the way, so you have to watch it yourself. Super kicks, 2 winged angels. One of them I'm not going to spoil. They teased the top rope thing, and then it was a Dragon Rana. Bang for your buck to the outside. Northern Lights to the outside on the ramp to take out Adam Page. That match had everything. It was never boring. At least 5 stars, probably 7. What are your thoughts? Like and subscribe. I'm not going to reveal who won. It was I think it was the third match. I think it was the third or fourth match. We shall see. What are your thoughts? Like and subscribe. They teased the ending of Page and Omega. I think they should have just broke up the league there. Like, And then at like a WrestleMania, bring back the Elite because like that was a perfect time. Everyone was booing everyone. Everyone was cheering everyone. That it was perfect. Worth thoughts and subscribe.
Like literally empty frozen foods.
There's some Costco.
I know.
There's some Costco here.
Like, I don't know. Do I want this like very, very thick piece of swordfish? Finally, everybody wants it. And now I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I slept on that.
That can play a
Supermarket closed too.
president, but I also had an urgent conversation with him. I told him I just think this.
The Warriors plan on playing some games without any fans due to coronavirus. Pelicans Kings game has been canceled due to Courtney Kirkland, referee, having possibility of interacting with Utah Jazz before Rudy Gobert was diagnosed with coronavirus. Donovan Mitchell has coronavirus. MLB opening day delayed at least 2 weeks. I don't know how they're going to schedule it, but it was done through MLB PR, Twitter at MLB-PR. MLB Communications is the name of the other thing, of the account. Spring training has been canceled effective today. NBC baseball qualifier games postponed indefinitely due to national emergency created by the coronavirus pandemic. They have more on the Twitter, well, the actual thing. MLBPressBox.com, March 12th, 2020 for immediate release. Major League Baseball to delay 2020 opening day by at least 2 weeks. Spring games postponed. Following call with 30 clubs and after consultation with MLB Players Association. Robert D. Manfred Jr. has announced suspend spring training as, safety of well-being of the players and loyal fans. Of course, the fact that fans are like all 100 years old, not to mention some of the workers are like 100 years old. Literally, not even offensive, like some are really old. There are obviously concerns. This basically sums it up. The WCBC qualifier games have been suspended from Tucson, Arizona completely. Losing games, etc. What are your thoughts? March Madness has totally been canceled. I'm not sure it's going to be the NCAA stuff, but definitely at least the smaller leagues. I guess no empty arenas. I don't know if someone contracted coronavirus and they don't want their families to show up at the arenas. I'm not sure. But I do hear that. I gotta get more details, but I do hear March Madness is double whammy for me and my boys. March 21st UFC will not take place in London, England. Khabib Ferguson will not happen in Brooklyn. My friends would have liked to have seen the March 21st UFC. I would have liked to have seen Khabib Ferguson. Since I don't like Conor McGregor. What are your thoughts? Update with the changes on UFC. They couldn't do the London fight because of the ban to UK. I forgot where that venue is going to be. I think it's going to be like Vegas or something. The Ferguson fight, they have 2 venues for. They haven't figured out where. They'll announce at 10 a.m. I don't know if it's EST or PST. I'm out on time because that's where the Apex Center is. Fans fundraiser for arena workers. What are your thoughts, like I'm described? This is after no one was going to appear for them before.
That can play a
Supermarket closed too.
president, but I also had an urgent conversation with him. I told him I just think this
And like literally empty frozen foods.
There's some Costco.
empty.
I know.
They're
There's
always
some Costco
I'm always
here.
like, I don't know, do I want this like very, very thick piece of swordfish? But finally, everybody
Everyone
wants
wants
it.
the
And now I'm like,
swordfish.
oh my god, I can't believe I slept on that.
that I had asked repeatedly and
Starbucks
in writing
closed.
many times, for help by this Sunday. We had asked for military, medical personnel, 1,000 nurses, 300
Like Las
respiratory
Vegas.
therapists, 150 doctors. These numbers I've been over with the President, with the Secretary of Defense.
What's everybody
and,
walking? They got
with
nothing to
General
do.
Milley numerous times. They're quite familiar with the request. I
High
had
store's
a follow-up
closed.
conversation with Secretary Hesper and General Milley.
Store over
again
there
this
closed.
afternoon.
Vietnamese restaurant.
I'm going to be talking to the FEMA administrator
Closed.
again to reiterate that this
Supermarket
is crucial,
closed.
and he will have the ultimate say over whatever military medical personnel are made available. But again, it comes down to this. This is a wartime dynamic. And everyone in Washington has to understand that right now too much of what's happening is on a peacetime basis. There's a disconnect, and I want to just be blunt about that. We're in the middle of a war. We can feel it here in New York City. I could feel it this morning when I stood with those good men and women, those EMTs.
Yeah,
those
Main
medics
Street, not
along the way.
Main
It
Street.
didn't feel like business as usual. It felt like we were in a war.
Get rid of all the
People were
fruit.
coming to save us. We need a lot more of that.
That store's
And other
open.
parts of the country will need the same.
It'll be closed next week,
It's
probably.
not going to happen unless we get on a war footing. So it's the mobilization of the military for sure. But I also think we have to remember in the wars of the past when we were really fighting for the survival of our nation and our ideals,
Nice Cheeto shirt.
we called upon all Americans to serve. And I think
Popeye's
it's time
open.
for that in a different way now. I think it's time for our nation
Why no small business?
to enlist our medical personnel on a national basis.
Burger
We
King
don't
open.
have the same kind of draft we used to have, but we're going to have to create something new right now at this moment in history
Chase.
to enlist all
Vitamin
available
store
medical
open.
personnel from around the country, and I mean civilians. Anyone with medical training anywhere in the country who can be spared by their city, their town, their state, to come to the front. And right now it's New York City, and we see it starting in some other
Wait,
states as
yeah.
well, but I guarantee you all
Oh, it's
50 states
ga-
will have
gated,
their
yeah.
own battle. The only way we're going to get through this truly
Through
is
Shanghai?
saving every life we can save.
Probably closed a long time ago.
Taking health professionals of every kind, with every skill, every training, no matter where they are in their career, and enlisting them
Yeah.
in a national service, creating something we just don't have right now, but we could have, and we need to have. So
Parking lot
that's what I
empty?
talked to the president about, the Secretary of Defense.
Second floor's
General
empty, at
Milley,
least.
a going to a place we've never been before because we are actually dealing with a crisis we've never experienced before. And we have to innovate. We have to see possibilities that we just didn't see before if we're going to really protect and serve the American people. So I
No longer managed by New York City Department of Transportation.
Another place because right now,
New York City Department of Transportation no longer.
I do want to give the president
Okay.
It's not the city in charge.
Or 2014, yeah.
It's a private company.
Okay.
Some real acknowledgement of just how tough it's going to be in the weeks ahead in New York City. But we know there's other places about to face this same reality.
Probably no good for the skin doctor, right?
Fully, deeply recognize the extent of the crisis.
Joe Shanghai closed.
Like one nation, fight this crisis together, enlisting everyone possible into this cause, whether they be the men and women of our military and our reserves, or whether it be civilians who could bring their extraordinary skills to bear where needed.
I'm hungry too.
Time for that in this country.
I wonder why everybody buy a lot of food from Costco.
I did talk to the president about the ventilator situation, as I mentioned, and the 400 ventilators that we found out late yesterday would be coming in time and be in place by Sunday morning. That was the number I mentioned yesterday that we absolutely had to have to ensure we could protect everyone in need. Those ventilators came out of the federal allotment that went to New York State. I want to thank both the federal government and FEMA and New York State for quickly making those 400 ventilators available. So the good news is we will get through Sunday.
Sure, yeah.
41st row, something like that.
Sure, yeah.
2,500.
You go all the way through Main Street.
Ventilators next week, during next week, to get through next week. I explained this to the president.
That restaurant, right?
And everyone heard it, and everyone took it seriously.
Not even any cars here. Everybody sold their cars, probably. Well, that one's open, Blue Storm. Well, that's a bar.
Everyone's fighting to get more ventilators, create more ventilators, manufacture them. But for all those folks who are about to arrive in hospitals,
Kanji Village, let me see.
whose lives we must save, their simple need is not for us to talk
complain
about, but to find those
food no good.
somewhere, somehow.
I complain the food no good either.
The one we bought last time, bought twice,
It's the
right?
best one.
That it is, I think, a national priority.
How they close the business?
The 3,000
I think
ventilators and get them
they
to
want
New
it
York
close.
City.
Yeah.
They want everybody to stay home.
Trouble.
So,
Where's Burger King open?
here,
Burger King probably kill a lot of people.
the tools we're going to use, the BiPAP machines, which are something that could be really helpful in ensuring that for some patients, they can be kept off the ventilators or at least for a period of time. We're getting some of those in. We're training staff on how to use them. That will be a part of the equation that will help as well.
Well, for rent.
The fact is, people want to help us, as I said, from all over the country. If you can help, anyone out there, if you can help.
So far, you're good.
Go to our website.
Yeah, I got money, right?
You got any?
Yeah.
Now. Or call 833-NYC-0040. Folks all over the nation want to help, or particularly if there's anybody anywhere has a ventilator that can get to us. That
Should live in North Carolina, shit. What's the...
medical professional wants to come here and help.
New York City's terrible now.
Accommodations, we will immediately plug you in.
You're supposed to survive off Burger King here.
Just want to move out.
Yeah.
You can pay the 2 rent. That's I think they move out because they think over here expensive to go somewhere else.
Yeah. They didn't move out. They didn't move out. They just want to visit their family, make sure they're okay.
Yeah, or the relative, right?
Yeah.
But I want to emphasize.
But at least we have Popeyes in Boston Market. A lot of like countryside people. They don't have Popeyes or Boston Market.
Community of Nations, the global
Yeah, we gotta start buying the prime rib now.
By the hello food.
Yeah, the halal food's still open. Yeah, it's a good price now too. The halal food price is a lot lower now. Like $3-4 now.
And even with that wonderful, reassuring voice and that knowledge and that wisdom, he's the first to say there's a lot we don't know. But we are learning every day and every week more.
Job.
And we're trying to act rapidly on what we learn. Sometimes you reach that point where there's just enough confirmation, enough new information.
A long time ago.
It's time.
The Bucks at AEW Revolution 2, the Bucks at AEW Revolution 2021. They're planning something. Paige, Silver and Alexander, they're planning something. Because that match was so good, iconic, etc. What are your thoughts on Scrab?